Shavua Tov and Chodesh Tov, and welcome to our Rosh Chodesh lesson about the month of Iyar, Chodesh Iyar, the month of Taurus. And it's a very special month and has a lot of new ideas. And let's start. The month of Iyar is the second month in the calendar astrological year, second after the month of Nisan, Aries. And it is a month that is, first of all, it is very much into the time of the counting of the Omer. Why? Because the month of Nisan is only half into the counting of Omer, and while the month of Sivan, 6 days in the counting of the Omer, and the month of Iyar is all inside the counting of the Omer. So it's a major month for that month. So first of all, what is the counting of the Omer? The counting of the Omer, to remind everyone, is that when we are talking about Pesach, Passover, it's about coming out to freedom. And we know that the only way a person can be free or feel free, freedom is not dependent on what other people tell you, do to you, say for you. Freedom is an inner sense. A free person has a state of certainty that he is somehow in control and is not allowing others to control his life. Freedom is, first of all, a consciousness. And if we want to define it the way the Kabbalists define it, freedom is also a sense of maturity. Because the more mature you are, the more developed you are, you have more freedom because you have the self-esteem that everything is under control. While people who are not free, they are always afraid that something will take away their sense of serenity or balance or do anything to them that will get them out of sync. So freedom is very much connected to certainty and to self-esteem. People with low self-esteem, it's almost impossible that they will be able to experience freedom. Why? They're always afraid that somebody will do something to them or something will happen that get them into a painful state. Now, getting out from Egypt, says Rabbi Youdkevitch, means not just the physical aspect of getting out of Egypt, because there is an old Jewish expression that says it's easy to get the Jew out of the galut, of the exile, but to get the galut out of the Jew, that's not so easy. Which means you can let a slave out of slavery, but usually he will continue to behave with a slave mentality, although there's no one there to enslave him. Because the question is, how did you become a slave to start with? How did your life lead you to a place in which somebody else is responsible for you and is enslaving you? This is what are we talking about? So the whole thing, when we learn about Pesach, about Passover, we learn that getting out of Egypt was not just physically getting out of a dark place. It's getting out from the consciousness that you are a slave, which means it's all dependent on somebody outside of me. It's the Egyptians, they started, they are the bad guys, we are the victims, they are the oppressor. People can speak like this for years and years and years. In the beginning, you really feel sorry for them, and then you realize they are their own enemy. And Rabbi Youdkevitch explains that is a state which is called katnut. Katnut means being small, or in simple English, behaving as a child, being childish. What does it mean being childish? Which means you always have to put the blame on somebody else. You never take responsibility. You never look inside to find how can I improve myself in order to change the situation. You're always waiting for somebody else to change. So your place will be changed. Your status will be changed. And as I say many times, whoever is waiting will keep on waiting. Because waiting is a state of mind of a slave, of a child. So Rabbi Zakloria is teaching us that the whole thing of the getting out of Egypt was a magical event that happened once in history, that the Creator had to inject to the universe this awesome, huge power that brought us from the state of total slaves, like really slaves, of no responsibility whatsoever, no ability to see that there is a way we can get out of it, into a place we were so great, like every Israelite in Egypt felt and had the consciousness of a sage. Otherwise, there's no way we'd get out of Egypt. But the moment we got out of Egypt, the next day, all of this got gone away. Now we had to acquire that consciousness of a freedom by ourselves. The peak is on Mount Sinai, and as the Torah says, when Moses is coming down from the mount, it says that it was, the writing was charut al haluchot, while most people translate it as engraved on the tablets, but the sages in the Talmud and in the Zohar say charut, it says chet reish vav taf, which means engraved, which means freedom on the tablets, and not engraved on the tablets. That's kind of having an optic illusion. What do you mean an optic? You think you see something, and you see something totally else. So, because engraved on the tablets is chet resh vav tet, but what it says is chet resh vav taf, which is a totally different word. What does it mean freedom on the tablets? Freedom, say the sages, real freedom. It's also freedom from the angel of death. Which means, what means freedom from the angel of death? So this one explains in another place. When Adam sinned, before he sinned, he was warned, do not eat from the fruit of the tree I told you. On the day you will eat from it, you will die. How old was Adam when he died? 930. Very scary consequences, right? No, says the Zohar, the moment Adam and Eve ate from the fruit, they started to die. And we continue to feed on that death from that moment on. How? Says the Zohar, every time we get insulted, we die a little bit. Every time we get scared, we die a little bit. Every time we get disappointed, we die a little bit. Why? Because when you are totally free, nothing scares you, nothing disappoints you. You just realize, oh, it didn't work this way, we'll try that way. He tried to hurt me. I'm not going to be hurt because that's my choice, and my choice is not to get hurt. That is freedom. That means, according to Rabbi Zakloria, being a real great person. Greatness is the result of your sense of freedom. You can have a great person that is always afraid and is troubled with phobias and fears all the time. It doesn't go together. A person that is, let's say, the guy is very famous, very powerful, very rich, very, like everybody knows about him. And then the more you get to know him, you realize the guy is obsessed with fears. What do you say about him? What a small little man. Why? He's still childish. He's still obsessed with fear. He's still dying every day, many, many times. Okay? So during the counting of the Omer between Pesach and Shavuot, all the levels of greatness the Creator gave us in Egypt, now He's giving to us step by step, day by day of the days of the counting. And as we've just learned, most of these steps, 30 of them, the month of Iyar, we get in the month of Iyar. 30 steps of growing from being a child to a grown-up, for being small to being great, for being stupid to being real wise, from being oppressed to taking responsibility in a way that no one can oppress you. Being oppressed is a state of mind. There's no objective in here. It's only a perception. And of course, you cannot abuse people who do not accept an abuse. Can't abuse them. You cannot insult people who are just simply full of their own self-respect. And if you're trying to insult them, they offer you some help because they feel you are in anguish. It looks like you're disturbed. Can I help you? Which means being disturbed is a choice. Being upset is a choice. Being hurt is a choice. There are people, they will be hurt even if nobody around even tried to hurt them. Maybe that will hurt them because, what about me? I'm here. Why don't you hurt me too? It's not a joke. It's a disease of most of humans. So how is the month of Iyar connected to that issue of growing and becoming great? So let's start first with, I'll start first with the Bnei Sachar. Bnei Sachar was a great tzaddik, was a great Hasidic sage. He was, his name was Rabbi Tzvi Elimelech of Dinov. And he wrote one of the most amazing Hasidic books about astrology. Is called Bnei Sachar. That's his book. And he writes about every zodiac sign, and he writes from the Midrashim, from Rabbi Zakluria, from many places, from Sefer Yetzirah, about that month. And he starts with Tzeruf Havaya Sholet B'chodesh Zeh, Yud, Hey, and Vav. Now, it is being taken, that's what I just said, that the combination of the name of the Tetragrammaton that connects to the month of Iyar is Yud, Hey, and Vav. Where is this taken from? So, this is the sages are taking it from the Tikkunei Zohar of Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai, and it says over there in the Tikkunei Zohar that one of the ways for a person to take responsibility over the zodiac signs is when we do the tefillah, or the meditation for the new moon, for the new month, today and tomorrow. When you say the bracha, Baruch Ata Hashem, Mekadesh Yisrael V'Rashei Chodashim, bringing the one who brings the holiness of Israel and the new moons, you meditate on a certain combination that if you take the Tetragrammaton Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey, there are mathematically 12 different ways to write the name if you permutate the letters. The first one is for the month of Nisan, Aries, we just finished. That's Yud, Hey, Vav, and Hey, the way it is written. Their combination for the month of Iyar is Yud, Hey, and Vav. Now, if you take all 12 combinations, 12 permutations, so we know that each one of them equals the change of the letters in Hebrew does not change the numerical value, the gematria. So each of them, of the 12, is numerical value of 26. 26 times 12 months, gives you 312. 312 in Hebrew is Chodesh. Chodesh is a month, but it's also to renew. The meaning of the word, the shoresh, of the word Chodesh is renew, which means every month we have an opportunity to renew ourselves because The universe is like a great kaleidoscope, renewing and changing and transforming the vibration month by month. So every month we can reconnect to ourselves through a different lens. And that gives us the ability to renew, because you know what's the biggest enemy of a person in his spiritual growth? Habit. When you get used to, that's the way I am, I got used to it. You're dead. You're dead. What does it mean? The Talmud says that humans are called holchim, walkers. Angels are called omdim, standing. Which means, if you are human, I don't know if you checked lately, it means that you have to walk on, which means you have to move on. Only angels stay the same. Are you an angel? Probably not. Which means, what did you do today? What are you going to do today? What are you going to do tomorrow to change and to transform? Because as long as you are human, you are here to transform and to change. And not to keep what I've got. You're dead already. So every month, the universe is transforming, giving us new vibrations so we can take the wave and use the opportunity to transform ourselves. So what is a special combination or permutation of this month? Yud, Hey, and Vav, which the Tikkunei Zohar is giving us a different verse from the Tanakh, the Torah, the Nevi'im, and the Ketuvim, that this is the right permutation. Thank you. Okay, so the one for this month is from Yirmiyahu, chapter 9, verse 23, and it says, Yithalel, starting with the Yud, Hamitalel, starting with the Hey, Haskel, starting with the Hey, Veyadoa. Yud, Hey, and Vav. And what does it mean? Yitalel Hamitalel, the person that he has to be praised is being praised. Haskel, praised by what? By the knowledge, Haskel, Veyadoa, and the knowing, the connection, communication. And this, according to Rabbi Zaklur, is very powerful permutation. So Rabbi Zaklur is explaining that this is also the combination that is connected to the tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam. For the ones who don't understand what I'm just saying, but it means that this permutation is about hasaga. What is hasaga? The ability to reach a higher state of spiritual consciousness. This month is the month for higher consciousness. This is the month that the universe is open and it's easier to establish and to acquire a higher consciousness. Why is it like this? Because this is a gift that we get. Every month we get another gift. So we can move on in our transformative journey, which is life, in order to become the best we can become. Now, why is it so important? And it says, says Rabbi Zaklur in Shari Yichudim, שהתפילין הללו הם המסוגלים מאוד להשגת חוכמה. The tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam, there are two kinds of tefillin. The one that most people use, that everybody uses when people lay tefillin, is the tefillin that is in the sequence of Youdkevitch, Vav. There are 4 parchments, or the 4 little paragraphs from the Torah in the tefillin, and their order is Yud, by order of Yud. The first one is representing the Yud, the second the Hey, the third the Vav, the fourth the Hey. The tefillin of Rabbeinu Tam is a switch between the last paragraph and the one before the last. The Hey and the Vav are being switched in place. And Rabbi Zaklur is saying, this is for a higher state of consciousness. Okay, that's why Hasidim, they lay the tefillin only after they get married. Because only after you get married, you can reach a real higher level. Sephardim were into Kabbalah they put the both prayers just from Bar Mitzvah. Why? You can become a great one only already from Bar Mitzvah. And if people don't understand it, they don't put the second pair of tefillin, never and ever. They just put the first one, that's enough for me. Okay? So, כאשר תתבונן כל זה, says רבי צבי אלימלך, כאשר תתבונן כל זה, when you look at, contemplate on that, תבין, you will understand, כי גם החודש הזה, that this month, אשר מאיר בו הצירוף הזה, הנ"ל, that this permutation is shining into that month, the whole month, מסוגל להשגה, has the special attribute of giving people a higher state of mind of a grown-up. Isn't that what the counting of the honor is about? Raising yourself from being a child, blaming everyone, not taking responsibility, waiting for others to make the move, waiting for something to happen so that will save you from your troubles, and instead taking the initiative, looking inwardly, and saying, when I change my perception, the universe will change. When I change my awareness, my world will change. When I come to that place that I wait for no one to feel better, I'll become a grown-up. When I understand that my connection to God is dependent on me alone and nobody else can come in between, I have that self-esteem that is needed for a person to reach real, true freedom. And a person with true freedom can be there for others. A person with true freedom does not blame, take responsibility, looks inwards, transform himself because he has to, because he realizes that. And that's a very powerful state of mind. That's a very powerful place. And this place is a place of the month of Iyar, as we understand. Here, we have also brings the Bnei Yisachar, another aspect from the Sefer Yetzirah, the book of formation. The Sefer Yetzirah, פרק ה' משנה ט', it says, המליך אות ו', that God, the creator, put to power into kingdom the letter ו', בהרהור, in thoughts, וקשר לו כתר and connected it to the crown. Crown is the ability to give birth to something new, okay? To bring from the source of creation whatever is hidden over there and treasured over there. וצרפם זה בזה, permutated it with each other, and the יצר בהם, וצר בהם, and created with them, formed with them, שור בעולם, the sign of Taurus in this world, is a world force, ואייר בשנה, and the month of Iyar in the sequence of the months, וכליה ימנית בנפש, and in the physical body, it's the right kidney. זכר ונקבה, מי מתחילים? עד כאן. על פי הדברים הנ"ל, כיוון שהצירוף הנ"ל, so according to what we just read, from the book of formation by Abraham the patriarch, since כיוון שהצירוף הנ"ל, since this permutation we just spoke about from the name of God, the tetragrammaton, this is the one who's shining, המאיר בחודש אייר, that is shining in the month of Iyar. יתעלל המתעלל להשכיל בידו, והוא מסוגל, it has the attribute to help us to grow spiritually and expand our spiritual wisdom, וידיעה, and not just that, awareness, בעניין like the תפילין of רבנו תם. על כן שייך לחודש הזה בריאת האיור, that's why consciousness, הרהור, connects to this month. This is the month to build a higher consciousness. Like the universe is open for that purpose. Okay? שהוא במוח השכלה, it's in the brain of education and growing up in a mind level. והיד מה שכתבתי, and also, and first of all, and that reminds me, if you go to the book, to the Zohar, speaking about Parashat Vayetze, And over there is one of the most amazing articles of the Zohar. This article is about Yaakov Avinu, Jacob, the patriarch. He, all his life, he knew that he has to bring to the world the neshama, the soul of Joseph. He was so concentrated on that because he knew that one of his most important missions is to bring that soul to the world. So that night, that when he was with Leah, the night of his wedding, his first wedding, okay, he knew this is Rachel. So he was, how come you can't find out that this is somebody else, that's a sister? He was so focused to bring in the soul of Joseph. He trained himself all his life for that moment. He was so focused to bring Joseph to the world. He wakes up in the morning and this is Leah. Says the Zohar, such a great righteous man. He was so much into the meditation to bring Joseph to the world, he didn't notice. They changed the lady. Okay, one of the reasons he didn't notice. He was so focused. He knew that it's so important to bring Joseph to the world. Who came out from these relations? Reuben. So what about, such a great person? That's a reward. Says the Zohar, Hakol talui bayehu. Everything, but everything is dependent on the Yehu, the thought and consciousness. Thought consciousness, this is what Yehu is in the Hebrew ancient language. Yehu, leharer, is a thought consciousness. The result was, because his consciousness was so focused and so true, that consciousness, that Yehu was hanging there. And later on, with Rachel, Joseph came in. It didn't go to waste. Why? Because his consciousness was so truth. And that's why it says, Titen emet leYaakov. You will give truth to Jacob. Because it was a truth, nothing could stop it. What does it mean? When you're a free human being, even if somebody trying to cheat you, pull your leg, it will come out the way it should, and you should not be upset about it. I was such a tzaddik and I saw a great guy, and I did the best, and look, Lavan, the cheat, the liar, my uncle, my flesh and blood, look what he did to me. Yaakov is not upset. He says, okay, bring me little Rachel. And whatever he meant to become came, and Rachel gave birth to Yosef. Which means when you're really free human being, you let it go the way it should, because if my thought was the right thought, if my intention was the right intention, it will come out. How? This world is the world of lies. The truth will be seen when it has to be seen. And when you are a free human being, you give it the time to be seen. You don't ask when. As my teacher used to say, you never ask when. You just do the right thing at the right time, and you make sure your thoughts and your awareness is in the right place. And you never ask when, because it will be when it's time. Okay, so that's awareness of free people, of free great people, of free minds, of great minds. Okay, Chodesh Iyar, and then he continues. That's very, very important. Chodesh Iyar, the month of Iyar, הוא נבחן ומנוסה בחוכמת הרפואה. It's really checked and proven that it's good also for healing. שהוא מסוגל לרפואה, להריקה את צומחה מן היפושים וחולשת המרה. As translated into modern English, this is the month for detox. That's what he says. The whole digestive system is ready this month for detox. This is the time. Let it be it, and it will be. It's ready for what we know, detox, which means all the toxins, all the poisons the body is accumulating. This is a time for renewal and for healing. ונראה לי הטעם, and it looks like the reason is that it's in that attribute of this month says that בני יששכר, והנה כל החולשות והחולאים על פי רוב באים מן המאכלים. Most, all the weaknesses and diseases come from the wrong food. You know, the Rambam, the Maimonides said that Kderat HaBishul, the cooking part, is number one murderer. Number one murderer. והנה כל החולשות והחולאים על פי רוב באים מן המאכלים שאינם לפי מזג האדם, and usually people get sick from eating food that does not fit the person's qualities. You know, some people, they need that, some people need that. And if you eat what doesn't belong to your body qualities, that can create diseases. In the month of Iyar, that's when the manna started to come from the heavens after the Exodus. And this manna has the power of healing. And this is the month that all the maladies started to be healed with the manna. But there's another thing. He explains, but do you think, there are people that eat, it's like there are people that for many, many years eat the wrong foods. They eat lots of sugar, they cook in a wrong way, fried stuff, all of this like stuff that is not so good for your health. And they're very healthy. And there are people that always eat vegan, right? Everything is organic with the right, and they're always sick. I'm not saying everyone, but there's always exceptions. Like, what's the fact is? What's the reason? And the answer is that we know. Because if you want to go to understand what does it mean, Iyar, as the Israelites are leaving Egypt, crossing the Red Sea, and then after that going to the desert and coming to that place with the bitter springs, Mara. Mara is also another word for the Zohar for cholesterol. Mara, the bitter biles, okay? The bad cholesterol. And it says over there that they were screaming and yelling and complaining, and Moses said, God, what should I do now? And what does it say? Vayoreu Hashem etz. And God showed him a tree. Okay? What do you mean a tree? Should be wood, right? No, a tree. What kind of a tree will make what is bittersweet? The tree of life. That tree of life, that tree makes the water sweet. And what happens when the water becomes sweet? Then God says to Moses those amazing words. If you follow my rules, then all the diseases I put in Egypt, I would not put on you, because I am God, your healer. Okay? Ani Hashem Rofecha. I am God, your healer. His initials, Iyar. Which means the month of Iyar is the month that we have to achieve the state of mind of the tree of life. And the state of mind of tree of life is the real healer of every disease. Because if we understand that any disease is first of all coming from wrong consciousness, and not everybody knows that. What's the source for heart diseases? Anger. Angry people that are always right. They're always doing what's right, and why nobody does what I do. They are the ones who have, the risk to get heart disease in their 30s and 40s already, right? There are a lot of researchers that show that there's a very strong connection between people's state of mind, hirur, and the diseases they attract. And when you change the state of mind, then diseases disappear. How come a disease can disappear? There's a connection of body and soul. The body cannot be disconnected from the soul. People stressed out have more tendency to get sick. Don't you know that? People are happy and excited and positive. and very little chances to get sick. Okay? People that go through trauma have very strong chances to get into certain diseases. People who feel oppressed, other diseases. When you're really upset about everything, it's winter time, and you don't feel like, and you don't care for, and all these expressions, you've just been disgusted from your life, and you need a break, you have very high chances to get the flu. While when you're really excited and enlightened, and you have no time for anything but doing what you're excited about, your chances to get the cold and the flu are so little. And even if you get, it will come for a little bit and then you'll forget about it. Right? So it's all consciousness. It's all here. It's all awareness. So the awareness of healing is awareness of greatness. And this is the month for acquiring the awareness of greatness. So this is the month to study, to contemplate, to meditate. And that's basically what the counting of the Omen is about. Is about achieving one step at a time, one level at a time, that level of awareness of greatness, which is the awareness of healing, the ability of a person to heal himself. Okay, so now let's see another thing, because there's a lot of stuff to deal with and we're short in time. Now, the month of Iyar is also being ruled by planet Venus. And what is Venus? Venus is known in European astrology as the goddess of love. So, when you're a little child, you think that love means sex. So the Greeks and the Romans and, they said that Venus means love and passion and all the joy of sex and stuff like this. A grown human being knows that love is about a lot of responsibility, a lot of caring, a lot of awareness, a lot of hard work. Love is not about sex. It's about much more than that. And Venus, that's why Venus in Hebrew is Noga. Now, Noga means in Hebrew light, glad. By the way, Iyar, the Hebrew name of the month, comes from the word or, light. And we have another special day in this month, which is the day of the Zohar. This is the day that Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai revealed the completion of the Zohar. Zohar means in Hebrew splendor, which is also another word for light. So it's all about light. There's so much. And also the biblical name of the month of Iyar, Iyar is one of the only few months that its name is being mentioned in the Tanakh. And it's called the Yerach Ziv. In ancient Hebrew, Iyar is called Ziv. Ziv means light. So all the names of this month and around this time is about light. It's a month full of light. Healing is light. However, a lot of light, let's say you go to the beach, there's a lot of light. You can get burned. You can get burned. A lot of light means that you have to put some sunscreen. You have to put some, what is a sunscreen? That when you have too much light, you can get burned. And we know, it says that during the counting of the Omen, there was a very terrible event. We're talking about second century. There was a revolt of Bar Kokhba. Rabbi Akiva was with Bar Kokhba, and during that revolt, during the days of the Omer, 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva died during this time. Some say in the war, some say in the plague, it doesn't matter. And that's why some people think, if you're ignoring this, because they died, we're in mourning during the Omer. No, we're not in mourning. We're just careful, because this is the time that we are growing from little baby consciousness to a greater consciousness, And when you're growing, you have to be really careful about what you're doing because you have to watch your step because you're not still accustomed. You're not yet accustomed to the new consciousness that you're acquiring during the counting of the Omer. And that's why you have to be really careful. But what's the point? Why did they die? Oh, there was a war, there was a plague. No. What is the Talmud saying? Because they did not respect each other. You know, the great master, he was the one that said that love others as you love yourself is the whole Torah. Well, how do we know? It says, Ze klal gadol b'Torah. Klal, says Rav Ashlag. Klal comes from the word kolel, inclusive. This is the whole inclusive and the all-inclusive rule of the Torah. How come? What's the connection between eating kosher and love? What's the connection between Shabbat and love? When you're connected to the network of the Creator, you're energized. When you energize, you're capable loving other people and loving yourself. When you're not in tune with the network, you're full of destruction. Then you're full of blame, upset. What kind of fear or consciousness you get at that time? Messy, very chaotic. Do you have any space for loving somebody else? Maybe you have space for sex, but you don't have space for love because love is not about pleasure. As many people think that Venus is about pleasure. No, Venus is not about pleasure. Venus has two aspects, says the Zohar. It was created by the letter Pei, as the Rabbi, as the Avraham Avinu says, Himlich Ot Pei, ruled the letter Pei, Kashar Loketer, connected to the crown, which means ability to create, Vetzalbo, and from with that, Noga, Baolam, the force that is called Venus, or in Hebrew, Noga. But Noga, you have to understand, is a very powerful force. It's a consciousness in every person's attribute, every person's nature. Everyone has that nature of Venus, some more, some less, and during this month, it's more for everyone. So it says, put with it the power of semen and unity of male and female. וכן של נשים, Venus, or Noga, in Gematria, is 58. 58 is Chen. Chen means beauty, grace of women. Chen shel Yofi, and beauty. So people are influenced by the power of planet Venus. They're very sensitive for aesthetics, for art. They love it and they know how to create. Okay? והשגת חפציו בנשים, and also whatever connects to that aspect of, male and female. שנאמר, וימינו תחבקני, and it says, and his right arm is hugging me, which means the power of chesed and love from that aspect is a beginning for any kind of pleasure in the level of that side, of the bodily pleasure. וכתוב נעימות בימינך נצח, pleasure on the right side. ושלום מפחד מכוח התפארת הבעלה, and also having peace from fear. Because when you're afraid, you cannot love. When you're afraid, you cannot enjoy. You don't see joy. And you cannot enjoy beauty and not love. Okay? However, it's connected to all kinds of pleasure, but also certainty. And it shows about silk and embroidery and pictures and drawings and all kinds of pleasure and peace. And it is also connected to listening because that's called music and good news from the good side. But also doing good to others. Doing good to others, gmilut chasadim. However, you have to understand, If you look at the letter Pei, says the Zohar, the letter Pei is structured, according to Rabbi Zatur, in a very special way. When you look at the letter Pei, the Zohar says it looks like a snake hiding his head. You know, what are we afraid from in the snake? From his tail? No. From his body and scales? No. We're afraid of his head. Why? Because the poisonous teeth, most of his head is that big mouth with poisonous teeth. That's what we're afraid of. So what is the letter Pei? It's a snake curling around himself and hiding his head so you won't see it. So in that pleasure, the bodily pleasure, and the run after pleasure of the body and the eyes and the ears, whatever is in the physical level, that's where the snake is hiding. Because when you become addicted to these pleasures, have you been seeing a snake, one of these huge snakes, when they open their mouth and they can just swallow in something much bigger of their size? That we're talking about, that snake that swallows up the greatest people in the history of mankind, just because they let that addiction to pleasure, bodily pleasure, to take over them. Then the great warrior, the great leader, the great king, and all of them fell, and with a lot of shame, right? We know that. But if you look at the way the letter Pei is written, says Rabbi Zaklori, look inside the Pei. When you overcome that snake part of bodily pleasures, and you use them only for spiritual growth, as we said, for spiritual awareness, for spiritual love, for love that is a grown-up love. If you look at the Pei, you see that inside the Pei, in white, the letter Pei draws the letter Bet. And the letter Bet is the letter for bracha, for a blessing. A blessing means that endless spiritual light, endless success. What does it mean? You make a lot of money. You know what? You enjoy that money, you go to fancy hotels, and after a while, poof, get a phone call from your banker, no money in the account anymore. And what does it mean? There was no blessing. This money was a short-term feel of success, but for the long term, it was gone, like it was never there. That is the letter Pei, the outside. The pleasure, and it comes in and it goes out. But if you really overcome the snaky issue, what's wrong with pleasure? We are right now into politically correct. If it's pleasurable, it must be kosher. Yeah? Whatever is pleasurable to eat is good for your body? No. Whatever is a pleasurable moment in your life is going to be great for the future. We know when you get drunk in the beginning, it's very nice, very pleasurable, but you're not feeling so much pleasure in the morning after. Okay? That's what you do with pleasure that comes with chesed, unlimited chesed, which means let's enjoy and who cares about the rules? This is the Pei. When you overcome the Pei, you can reach inside, says the Zohar, into the Bet. And the Bet is a real bracha. Bracha means that the more is more. What is more is more. Only in the spiritual sense. Because in the physical sense, what is more is less. The more you eat, the less you enjoy from the food. The more you drink, the less happiness you experience. In the beginning, you're happy, but then you're miserable and you cry, right? That's the way it is with physicality. That's the more is less. But in spirituality, the more is more. Just the expansion of your ability to enjoy. Now, this is the month of Iyar. So, how is it? Then you can learn from the Zohar that when, one of the major things in the Chodesh Iyar, in the month of Iyar, is Lag BaOmer. As we said, that's about the revelation of the Zohar. And the Zohar, it says also, many, many places in the Zohar, that the Zohar is the tree of life. You want to connect to the tree of life? Study the Zohar. I don't understand, I don't know so much. Read the Zohar, scan the Zohar. That will get you a connection to the tree of life consciousness. It's all about consciousness. So, when the Zohar is starting to be revealed the first time in history, when just Rabbi Shimon is leaving the cave he was hiding in for 13 years in Pekin, he comes out of the cave. He meets his father-in-law, Rabbi Pinchas ben Yair, and Rabbi Pinchas is, "Oh my God, you look so terrible. Woe to me that I see you in such a state." Answers Rabbi Shimon with a smile, "Praiseworthy I am that you see me this way, because if I haven't been this way, I won't be that way." You want to reach the heavens, you have to put your body a little bit aside. He came out with a lot of sores on his skin for being in a cave for 13 years, the humidity and so on. It was not that healthy for him, so he came to Tiberias, for the hot springs of Tiberias to heal. There he met Rabbi Pinchas, and he says, "Just a second, before I go into the water, I have to share with you some 14 secrets in the Zohar." What was the first secret? The secret of Yir'ah. Yir'ah means awe, but it's also the same, the shorsh of the word Yir'ah, awe, is Iyar. Yud Reish Aleph, Aleph Yud Reish, Iyar. What is Yir'ah? It's the consciousness of being aware that you are connected to high wire, high voltage. At the same time, you enjoy, you love it, you're full of this power, and by the same time, you treat it with greatness, with awareness, with respect, and you are careful, because knowing the rules will allow you to use the powers without getting hurt. What if you're using high forces and you don't know the rules? You get hurt. What's the result of getting hurt? Fear. What does the fear do? Is the fear doing for a person? You withdraw to a small, little, painful place. In that place, there's no place for two, not to talk about the whole crowd. Can a fearful person experience real love to another human being? The answer is no. How can you love somebody, which means being one with somebody, if there's no place in your heart for anyone but yourself? And not just it's only for the pain that you have been experienced. The month of Iyar is about the tikkun to learn how to love from respect, from honor, from knowing your place, knowing that life is about pleasure, about love, but you have to handle those forces with care, and that's called being a grown-up. The joy is not everything. Yes, when can you enjoy? When you know the rules of the game, then you enjoy playing it. When you learn the consciousness of being aware, and that's why in Hebrew, Yir'ah is awe. Awe is not fear. Awe is awareness. Hirhur, Iyar. It's awareness of wisdom. With the wisdom comes the happiness that is coming from the place of responsibility. Not of a child that I'm happy and what's happening tomorrow, who cares? Let's be happy now. Let's drink all the wine. What will happen in 2 hours from now? Who cares? Let's have sex now and do whatever we want and we'll be happy. And that's kosher. That's right, because I'm happy, because it's pleasurable. Now, if you don't handle pleasure with care, it will backfire and short-circuit your system. We know that everything that is of power has to be handled with care. A car on the highway, right? Food, alcohol, power of rulership, everything. The more power you have, That power can take over you if you don't have the awareness. That means growing up for 30 days of Iyar, acquiring the awareness of growth and responsibility, and love between a man and a woman, or even love to your friends, is about taking responsibility for your emotions, taking responsibility for what their emotions are about, and always it's also about an effort and knowing that there are no free lunches. That love is a hard work. No, I thought that love is just pleasure. I don't feel pleasure being with you. You know what? We're not in love. Do you now understand why in English love goes with falling? Because when you think like this, you will fall for sure. Not, there's no chance. No, you will fall. That's why you say falling in love. Because when love is just about pleasure, you will fall because you don't handle the energy with care. Should they be exalted in love? Love is about unity. Love is about taking responsibility. Love is about being ready to work hard and improve yourself and the relationship with hard work. That's love. That's why ahava, love is oneness. If the other one is falling, you are aware for it, you take care of it, you take responsibility for it, and you lift him up. And then when you fall, they will lift you up. That's about community, that's about responsibility. That's why the students of Rabbi Akiva, when they did not respect each other, they did not understand what love is about. Love is, first of all, respect, then pleasure. Love is about we are one, and therefore we are responsible. You know what? The result is awesome, endless pleasure, but responsibility. Fear is for children. Fear is for ignoramuses. Fear is for people who cannot take responsibility for their failures and they cannot learn from it. So, have a great month and a great week, and see you again. Toda Rabbi.